All right, and welcome to round one of the Automobilista Australia Super 2 series here from Adelaide. Tonight joining me in the commentary box is none other than Brendan Ross.
Ta-da!
All right, well, do apologise for being a little bit late with the stream, so we can't go over too much of the format for the Super 2 series, at least until the second part of the warm-up session, but currently looking at Steve Burko on screen, and he's travelling along quite nicely, currently up in the first sector, and was quite quick in practice, Rossi.
It was very quick. It was pretty much reminiscent of the old HRT days with him and Lime Mitch sitting up the top of the table, so it's quite good to see.
Yeah, looks like they're going to be the ones to watch this season. Obviously, this Super 2 season is his 9/10 up at the second split. Super 2 season, emphasis on driver development and also on these guys that aren't quite as skilled to be in a environment where they can just relax a little bit more and have a little bit more fun as well, with the damage turned down and shorter and more frequent races as well. As Burko crosses the line, P2, 19.9, so Lime Mitch currently P1. Fair lap for those guys. Turmo P3 currently, Nether P4, already P5. Haven't got the tower on my screen at the moment, so I do apologise for that. I'll try and sort that out during the warm-up session as we have a little short break. Mike Coulson currently on a lap. I haven't watched him through the first chicane on this lap. When we're watching him in practice, every time I jump on board, he'd yell at me because I'd seem to curse him because he'd get a track cut whenever I was watching him go through the first chicane.
It's lucky you weren't watching him because it looks like he's made it through it.
Yeah, he's made it through this time, but he's 6/10 down on the current pole time, and 19.8 for Lime Mitch. So there it is now on my screen, thankfully. And 6/10 down in the first split, which if he was able to maintain that throughout the through the final two sectors, he'd end up in third, but 1.2 off at the second split.
He was pretty much up there in practice, so he'd probably be pretty disappointed with his lap, but not too bad overall.
I think with these sort of one-lap dashes in qualifying, as you've experienced when you've done, obviously, TCR and the Rookie Cup kind of series, you just got to set a decent lap. It doesn't have to be the great one, as he sets a 21.4. It's still good enough for P4 at the moment.
Yeah, still in the second race, so that's probably not too bad for him. Going back to the that shootout format, it's not a favourite of mine, but you definitely got to get the most out of your one lap you get.
Yeah, we've seen a number of obviously mixed up qualifying sessions due to drivers just binning it or getting a track cut on that one lap. It's especially with a number of the faster guys. I do believe Foley in one of the TCR rounds last season had an absolute mare in qualifying. Got a track cut, I believe, on like the first chicane or something like that, and was able to make a race of it in the second, or sorry, in the race, I should say. He made a race of it starting from the back of the field. Looks like all the drivers, though, have set all their laps. Wayne, who's currently out on a lap at the moment, if he sets another lap and crosses the start-finish line, he'll get DQ'd. And he's entering the pit lane. So he's just remembered, just trying to get an extra lap in. So still got 2 minutes left in the session, so if anybody joins, they will be able to set a lap. I did get a lag spike there, so perhaps someone has.
Glenn just joined, but he's already set a lap.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, and then Wayne got disqualified.
Yeah, so
he must have went out.
Yeah, he must have. I think what must have happened is. Well, actually, no, he should have been able to drive back to the pits, but then again, he might have crossed the start-finish line. Or when he entered the pits, it might have counted as crossing the start-finish line. Anyway, 2 minutes left in the session. All times are done. Might as well go and bring up the old splash screen with the track on it, and just to go over a couple basic things. See, track map. Got 14 turns. 3.2 kilometres is the current Adelaide street circuit. The format for this evening is 2 races, the second race being reverse grid, and it is 18 laps long. So the format for the races are circuits that are over 3.2 kilometres, They are 2 races of 60 kilometres, while circuits that are under 3.2 kilometres are 3 races, and they are, going off the top of my head, in fact I'll just check the information. Yes, the races that or circuits that are 3.1 kilometres and shorter are 40 kilometre races. So it'll be a little bit different, but also, short, sharp races and more races for these guys just to go out there and have a bit of a crack, Rossi.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting format. I only just realised it today, but I definitely look forward to the 3 races. So that'd be pretty fun to watch. Just everybody sort of gets a second and third chance if they make a mirror in the first race. So hopefully everybody takes that on board and has some clean racing.
Yeah, obviously in Australia, got a number of these really short circuits. So Simmons Plains, Barbagallo being ones that are at the top of that list, being less than 3.1 kilometres. So Adelaide very, very close to the obviously threshold there, but just long enough to remain at 2 races.
And I think people would probably be happy only doing 2 races at Adelaide.
Yeah, as we've seen in practice, and as we see in real life, and in the Supercars series we saw last year, it is a very, very attritional circuit, with Turn 8 being one that is very, very tricky. And unlike in real life, Turn 3 in Automobilista, and even, just in Sims in general, Turn 3 is actually quite difficult. It is flat, but in the sim, if you sort of overheat the rear tyres a little bit, take too much curb at the first chicane, you'll find yourself sideways and in the wall on the left, or hitting the wall hard on the right hand side on the exit there.
And from experience, it can be fun, but it can be brutal.
Yeah, especially with the damage in the Supercars Championship. It was only set, I believe, at something like 50. Was it 50 or 100%? But drivers would just glance that wall on the exit of Turn 3 at this circuit, and it would kill the engine. Thankfully, in Super 2, damage is at 25% to allow these guys to just keep on racing. But I think we'll see round 1 of the Supercars Championship in a couple of weeks' time. I think we'll see a number of people being caught out by the very damaging walls here.
I think so. So hopefully anybody who's here tonight and they decide to race the Supercars Championship, they sort of learn a little bit and try and avoid that corner.
Yeah, that's what this Super 2 series is all about. We'll go to a break in a moment, but just touching on that, obviously this Super 2 series, so it matches the Automobilista Australia calendar in terms of circuits, but every round is every 2 weeks, while the AMSOZ Supercar Championship, that rounds are only the Thursday after a real life supercar event. So there is going to be a bit of a difference come, obviously, even a month or two, where Super 2 will be a couple rounds in, while Supercars will only be a round or so into their season. Anyway, we'll take a short break as I got to conduct the drivers' briefing, but we shall be back in a couple minutes' time for Race 1. Alright, and welcome back. We've run through the drives briefing. Went a little bit longer, obviously first round of the season, couple of new faces. Obviously got Wayne Spencer, one of the newer guys at AMSOZ. Good to see some new runners, and hopefully they stick around, Rossi.
Hopefully, it'll be good. Just the new year, we get a few new people, a few new faces, so it'll just be good to have a little mingle with how some new people do it.
Yeah, some new faces in TCR as well, new faces in Supercars, and also some new faces in TCAC. How's TDC looking, Rossi?
Not too sure at the moment. A few people have signed up, but it's not really a series where anybody's forced to sign up. It's sort of just going back to the old Rookie Cup days where anybody joins, so could be 5 people signed up, could be 10 people showing up on the night, so hopefully that goes well, but yeah, looking forward to it.
It was good fun last season. Wasn't able to make many rounds last season, but may make 1 or 2 provided basketball times and the like for myself. Anyway, had to restart the warm-up as a couple of the drivers have had issues. Steve Bolger was getting a vehicle collision mismatch, and Wayne Spencer was another one that dropped out. We did have 10. Who else has dropped out, or did we have 9?
Trying to work out. 1, 2, right. There's 11 people down there, but I can't work out who it is. Well, Zach Ross isn't there.
Well, Zach Ross isn't racing, I don't think.
Who else is there? Oh. We'll soon find out.
Yeah, I've got 10 people in there, in the Discord, excluding Zach Ross. But we've got 9 people in the server. So I have no idea what is going on here. We will wait another couple of minutes. I do apologise to people that are watching the stream. So, well, I'll give it until 5 minutes on time. So while that's going on, we'll watch Steve Bolger in the 19 Darrelly Sticks car. I'm trying to think, that's the 2016, I believe, Techno Autosports car. Off the top of my head, which Bill Davison and Jonathan Webb won Bathurst in. Courtesy of Scott McLaughlin cutting the chase and smashing, well, and just being a wrecking ball.
Oh, the famous Scott McLaughlin move.
But he can do no wrong. He can do no wrong. So obviously not his fault. Not Tander's fault either. It's always Jamie Whincup's and Triple Eight's fault.
Bloody Jamie Whinccup. Always his fault.
Bloody Whinccup. And Roland Dane. What a pack of cheats.
Always their fault. You got to blame Triple Eight. It's Triple Eight Supercars now, isn't it?
Something like that. Roland Dane Super Silhouettes.
You gotta laugh at some of those fans.
Oh, it does my head in. But at the same time, they are good fun to troll as well.
There we go.
It's Bolger. 122.0. Now, did you just say we've got the 10 roadie? Bloody roadie.
Bloody roadie.
Roadie doing it again.
He will be listening, so...
Him and his bloody potato computer, I tell ya. Alright, well, we will be going over to the race session to get us started for race 1 of the evening. And knowing our luck, someone will drop out. Absolutely guaranteed here, Rossi.
It's just the AMSOZ fashion, and somebody's going to miss the starting grid,
yep,
and then someone's going to pass the flag on the green lap.
And someone will jump the start.
I haven't seen that one yet, but actually no, I have. Gary Neville, TCR.
Well, haven't crossed over to the screen because I'm just waiting to see if anybody drops out, because it always seems to be the way.
Looks like they've all gone to the grid. Yep. It's good seeing some of these old liveries.
Yeah, I went through and just went and tried to find all my favourite liveries from all the ones that were made by Rob Fitness and Rob Fitness and was it Nigel for NRAP? Yeah, NRAP that does the liveries, and may have made a modification to the 23 red one to make it sort of a little bit more realistic. Also fixed up the rims as well, so they're the proper red rims, unlike the ones that Automobilista have by default. Anyway, to go through the grid, Rossi, why don't you go through the grid for us, mate?
Ooh, exciting. So, we have in first place is Blind Mitch. His teammate, not so teammate, Steve Burko in the two HRT Commodores. Termo, I hear he's got I don't know the word for it, but Rody plays that role. He's in third. We've got Coulston in fourth, hopefully not riding a camel. Netheralium in fifth. He'll be something to watch out for. He's a pretty good racer. Brady in sixth in the Xbox Commodore. I like the look of that car. Glenn Miles in Lowney's 888 car. We've got Bolger in the Styx car. Brian Walsh, and rounding out the grid is Wayne with disqualification.
Yeah, so both the Super Monster Racing cars starting at the back of the field. And for those that are watching that aren't participating or pro drivers at Automobilista Australia, obviously feel free to obviously join the group Automobilista Australia on Facebook. Join the group, and and then from there you'll be able to join the Discord, and then on Discord you'll be able to select a car, one of the free cars. There are a few. We do have 16, I believe, registered drivers, but only 10 here this evening. But I do believe there's, I think, 26 cars, so there's still quite a number of free cars available. I don't believe there's anyone in a Nissan yet, so if you like the Nissans, there's a couple in there for you. And have a look through the skins. And pick the one you like. No Volvos for this one, but there is Volvos and Mercedes for the Supercars Championship. So that's something that hasn't been seen in Automobilista before. They were in R Factor and R Factor 2, albeit very rarely spotted, as the drivers now form up onto the grid.
Ours will be on turn one.
Yeah, first chicane. Very, very tight. Easy to pick up a track cut. The revs are rising. And away we go. And looks like a great start from Blind Mitch. Coulston, a bit of lag and a little bit of wheel spin. And into the first chicane we roll. And that'll be very close to a track cut for Blind Mitch. But in race conditions, though, I did notice in the GT3 race around here that the cutting stringency, well, the threshold for it was much more lenient than in practice and qualifying. But Blind Mitch leads the field away. Burko second, Termo third, and Coulston fourth. So the top four all remain the same. Steve Bolder's had a fantastic start, up 3 spots. And behind him, Nether, he's dropped a spot. Rody's dropped a spot. And Wayne up 2 from the back. Walsh has stayed in 9th. Glenn Miles has dropped down to the back of the field.
Very clean start. They've all pretty much escaped it all. Coulston hit the wall there. But,
and it looks like the monster car having a look at Rody. Wayne making a move into turn 9. Almost runs into the back, and now they've got a yellow there as well.
Around. What have you done there, Termo?
Where is Termo? So what's he done? Did he get rear-ended by Coulston? Because Coulston was right behind him. No, he just outbroke himself. And had to flick turn it around. Back live though. The 2 HRT cars are pretty much 3 seconds ahead of Mike Coulston. If you're in a red, white and black car, It seems to give you a little bit of extra horsepower as a Bolger into the wall at turn 4 there. And that allows the FGX of Nether Elmian to close in. Wayne's had a fantastic start. He's putting Nether under a bit of pressure now, so he's had a bit of pace in that thing. Unfortunately for Wayne, he obviously got DQ'd in qualifying, and I don't think he had a great lap anyway to begin with. But in the race, he's had a great start so far.
He was very quick in practice, so he's going to be somebody to look out for. He's being a new person, nobody's going to know how fast he is. So
Oh, mistake from there. He's clipped the wall in the exit of turn 8, and they're going to be side by side into the hairpin. Wayne's going to try and go around the outside, but he's out broke himself, pinched a brake. But, oh no, he's held onto it. So Wayne, fantastic move around the outside of the hairpin at turn 9. You don't see that very often, and almost into the tyre bundle, and the exit there of double left-hander.
looks like the two HRT cars are sprinting off in the distance even more. So going back to the old glory days of HRT.
Yeah, shades of 2000. Well, pretty much 2000. Well, from 1999 all the way there to 2002. But Burko looks to be keeping his teammate honest at the moment. Both very, very quick in practice and in qualifying, and as you can see in the race. But Burko not letting Lime Mitch get away.
I'd be curious how they both last on their tyres here, because just knowing the V8s just shut the tyres if you start using them.
Yeah, it will be something to look out for. There is no compulsory pit stop for this series. And 18 laps is a fair distance in a stint.
I can't remember if last season when we were doing it, it was a 17 lap stint on fuel, so they're going to be pretty close there too, I think.
It is 2 times fuel, 1 times tyres, or is it the other way around? I can't remember.
Normal tyres, 2 times fuel.
Yeah, so it'll be very, very tight. So drivers, maybe, I wonder if there's a smart driver in the field. Oh, we've got Bolger off. That double left-hander there. I'll just have a look at the replay, but as we come to it, I was going to say, I wonder if there's a smart driver out there in the field that's looking at these fuel numbers. As Bolger was overtaken at the hairpin, and then looks like he just lost it under braking. And that's dropped him all the way to the back of the field. Shame for him. But I wonder if there's a driver out there who's saving fuel to get to the end.
My money would be on Nether. He's a very smart person under the cockpit, so I think he'd be sort of looking at the numbers pretty early. He's
just been overtaken by Wayne and had a little bit of a lock up there into turn number 4, but he's still in 5th place. Fair distance off the lead, but a podium is within reach if he does a little bit of smart driving and doesn't make a mistake. But the driver to look out for is Wayne. He's a man on a mission after getting DQ'd in qualifying. You said he's quick in practice, and well, he's showing he's quite quick in the race and made some nice moves already.
I think that the Xbox car of Brady and Turmo have both gone around.
They have. Indeed, they have, and they've done a synchronised spin as well. And we've caught that on the stream, so that'll be something if someone made a highlight video of the season, that would certainly be on it. We'll cut back to a replay and see what had happened.
Oh, this is dangerous. Turn 7.
They both lost it on their own. They just both hit the curb in different spots, but lost traction and went around, and then they did the old synchronised spin, or flick turn. Turmo down to 8th. It's elevated Bolger from 10th, and already now to the back. Up at the front though, Lime Mitch has just stretched a little bit more of a gap. He's a little bit sideways at turn 5 there. Stretched the gap to 1.1 seconds now, but still very, very close between those guys at the front. And I reckon between those two, the race is probably going to be decided on whose tyres are better at the end.
Yeah, and most certainly it's just going to come down to that, unless somebody makes a mistake. But yeah, tyres is going to be the dominating factor here.
Further back though, he's about 2/10 closer, I believe. It was 3.8 on the last lap when we were having a look before. It's now 3.6 between himself and Coulson. So Coulson's got a decent amount of pace in the old 23 Red racing car, little Red Rocket. And in fact, he's had a very good middle sector there and extended his gap over Wayne. Nether has dropped a fair way off. I don't know if he's made a mistake or he's saving fuel there. And you've just looked at something and gasped. What was it?
Just his lockup. Just his lockup there. He's gonna feel that one in the car. I know when I did a bit of practice then, you could littlest lock up, you just feel it throughout the lap and it's not coming.
23.3 for Nether on that last one. So not the quickest driver out there at the moment, as when we've seen him locking up and struggling to pull it up. And he's probably driving on 50-cent pieces for front tyres at the moment. And another lock up there into turn 4, and he just pulls it up. So I reckon he's probably just got to readjust, start braking a little bit earlier and a bit straighter, and he'll be able to pull it up. But at the moment, just out braking himself, and he's probably trying to trail brake it a little bit. And as you can see, just not working at the moment.
Coulston's looking quite comfortable, just sort of in his own little area, but I think he'd be very happy with where he is at the moment, considering how his practice was going.
Yeah, it wasn't struggling a little bit in practice. That first chicane in particular was a bit of a almost into the barrier.
Wayne was close there too.
Wayne has brought that gap down by a couple of tenths, but yeah, Coulston was struggling a little bit in practice at that first chicane. In fact, we'll ride with him now, coming into the first chicane. So will he get a track cut? Now, in the race session around this track, it is a little bit more lenient. 22.2 for him on that last lap, so 1.1. That won't be a track cut, but not ideal through there. Looks like may have been a little bit of lag.
Bit of Saudi involved in that.
Yeah. Bit of a camel flick with that one. Yeah, between himself and Wayne has come down a little bit more as well. 3.3 seconds. Was 1.1 off his fastest lap on the last lap. And probably going to be down on this one as well with that run through the first chicane. But still, running consistent lap times. He's kept his nose clean and finds himself in a very handy third position. Further down the field, Turmo got past Brian Walsh. Walsh has kept his nose clean as well. Unlike Turmo, Steve Bolger, Rhodey and Glenn Miles. But Walsh is just locking up a little bit there at turn 6. That's going to encourage Bolger, and he's done it again, and that will allow Bolger to get through, I'd imagine. They're side by side, and yeah, Bolger taking that one.
I was going to say Bolger would gobble him up here, but Welsh's made it a bit easy for him.
Oh, and I think Turmo hit the wall there at turn 8 on the entry, or mid-corner, because he did hear a big crunch. And yeah, he's got a big ding on the left-hand side of his car, so I reckon he's ran a little bit wide there.
For a man that speaks little words, he's going to be very disappointed in how his race is going, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it hasn't gone well, but at least he's gone synchronised swimming today.
Very much. It looks like Steve Burko's brought the gap down a little bit back to line Mitch. Although he didn't get a good run onto the straight,
Yeah,
so
8
he's lost.
tenths of a second. So the gap has come down from 1.1.
Oh!
Oh, he's lucky for him it's 25% damage, because if it was a bit more, I think he'd have a bent left front there. And Lime Mitch pushing very hard all over the curb. Burko as well, using all a track at the hairpin and more. I don't think that's the ideal line through there, because that curb does cost you a bit of time, Rossi.
Yeah, well, whatever he just gained in those 2 laps, he just lost it at 2 corners.
He's lost it and then some. It's now 1.6 seconds. So big loss. Oh, and he's ran wide in the exit. I think he's just been pushing too hard for too long. Or he's just tried to find another level and he's just made some mistakes instead. He's going to have to refocus now. Get his head in the game and just put some consistent laps together and try and claw that gap back down under a second.
It's something that I always hear that people say that I need to calm down. It's just trying a little bit too hard. And you can sort of see now just watching other people race that they are trying a little too hard. So yeah, like you said, he just needs to calm it down a little bit and then bring that gap down a little bit. Otherwise, it's pretty much Mitch's races at the back.
Yeah, I think a lot of, especially for drivers in this series, and obviously I've watched you in plenty of series in TCR and stuff like that, and rookies, and obviously you said it yourself a little bit, and you're seeing it now, that I think drivers just need to drive within themselves, drive at 99, 98% the whole time, cut out those little mistakes, and when you do have that carrot in front of you, you still drive at that level. Because when you try and hit that 100% or go to that 101%, that's when these mistakes catch you out. And more often than not, you never get that time back again. So if you just stay at your pace, you'll find yourself in a good position, like Mike Coulston is, who hasn't made a mistake. But that being said, Coulston, 1.1 seconds now between himself and Wayne.
Yes, he's sort of calmed down a little bit, but starting to get that gap closing again. So, yeah, you might be on him in the next couple laps.
Yeah, not too far away. 1.1 seconds at the end of the last split. 22.3, now 1 second. So that was a 20.932 for Wayne. In fact, that was his personal best of the race.
Very nice.
Very, very slidey through turn 3. Coulston didn't have a good run through there, and that gap was a second. Dare I say, it's probably about 7/10 of a second now.
He's got him on the brakes. Wayne's catching him in when he's coming into the brakes, so looks like Wayne's just a little bit more confident there. And the car is sticking to the ground.
Yeah, I think one thing that has to be taken into consideration with Mike Coulston, though, is that he's in Saudi Arabia, and it does have a little bit of latency, so that'll be why his car does look like it's doing some unusual things, as Wayne just shows his nose at the hairpin. Might know that he might make a move there in a lap or two, the way things are going.
Yeah, Wayne just got a little taily out there, so won't do him too much damage, but a little bit eating into the tyres there.
Yeah, so these guys 15 seconds off the lead, and 6. Oh, is Coulston very, very wide on the grass and half turn, and that allows Wayne now in his first race.
He spun again.
And yeah, a little half spin, very easy to do on the grass. He's got a big, big gap to Nether, so he will stay in 4th place, but costly mistake for Mike Coulston. And Wayne now into a podium spot after starting down in 10th place. So solid effort. Hasn't put a foot wrong so far.
No, he's driven a pretty quiet but pretty clean race so far. He'd definitely be wishing he was up with the 2 HRT cars, because I reckon he'd be fighting with them pretty easy.
Certainly very, very close. It'll be interesting actually to have a look at the lap times to sort of compare the two. I know the 2 HRT cars are in the 19s, while Spencer's fastest lap on that last lap was his best at a 20.9. So fastest lap wise is still a little bit off, but perhaps as the race wears on, he might be able to sort of match their pace.
Yeah, and it'll give him a little bit more confidence leading into race 2. So he'll be starting ahead of them if it finishes as is. So that'll be an interesting one with the reverse grid, if he can put a gap on the 2 HRT cars and make it through the field.
Yes, actually, my mistake. The last lap Wayne did was a personal best. It was actually 20.7, not 20.9, and we bring up live races at the moment. And last lap for Mitch and for Burko, a 20.0 and a 20.7, and on that last lap for Wayne, a 20.8. So nice consistent lap times. Probably needs to find about half a second, and he'll be right there with those 2 HRT cars.
Something that I was worried about was the track cuts, but everybody seems to be pretty quiet on them so far. Nobody's, touch wood, set the penalty limit up, but although could Glenn possibly, but Glenn's notorious for it, but it's been pretty good so far. Yeah,
that was, as I said earlier, one thing I found in the GD3 finale was that at first the track cut threshold was much, much more forgiving in the race. Found out as I was behind Foley, and he was all over the place at the first chicane, and I thought for sure he'd had about 5 track cuts in the first 5 laps of the race, but realised that the game was a little bit more lenient in the race, just like Albert Park was. So decided, well, might as well use it myself, and did it one too many times. But this race only 18 laps long, so should be a bit easier for these guys to avoid picking up a track cut penalty.
Even though it's 18 laps, it's still a long time to be going lap after lap. Like it's it's still hard work for them to stay pretty consistent in their lap times while racing around other people.
Yeah, I was just having a look at the lap times, and last lap 21.1 for Mitch, 20.1 for Burko, but on this lap the gap has cut down even more, 1.2 seconds according to the tower, but I reckon it's a little bit closer than that. As you can see, Glenn Miles in the background there in the Vortex Lounge livery. So perhaps a bit of lap traffic for Line Mitch catching him out. 1.4 seconds the gap now, but still very, very close. It's come down from about 2.2 seconds, and Burko making a race of it with 5 laps to go.
You'd have to be treating Line Mitch as a carrot now and just trying to just sneak up very close to him, because there's not long to go in the race now, but there's still enough time to where he could probably put up a bit of a last-ditch fight.
So 20.0 for Mitch, a 20.2 for Burko. Not much in it at all. As you can see through the first chicane, Burko using all the curb at the first part so he could straight line the second part of it. Which personally, that's my philosophy for that first chicane. As he clips the tyre bundle in the exit to turn 4, but he's done it. He's tried to J-turn it. He's again lucky there's only 25% damage and gets away with it. So if we had style points, he'd certainly pick some up for that. But that little tyre bundle there, it caught me out in practice a few times in GT3 and in Supercars when I've done some laps around here. And unfortunately for Burko, it's bit him again there.
It's a doogie, that wall. It catches you out in every series. You know it's there, but it just... You don't expect it to do what it does.
Unfortunately, it's solid. As we said, Glenn Miles very, very hard into the barrier. The exit to turn 8 and Burko, big slide out, breaking himself at the hairpin. So the race is probably done barring a mistake, unfortunately, for the win. But now it's just time just to consolidate, make sure you finish in second place. Looking for another battle on track. Looks like Turmo and Rhodey battling it out. So I reckon Turmo's made a mistake somewhere, because he was a fair way ahead of Rhodey earlier on. And one would expect pace-wise for him to have a little bit of advantage there, but Rhodey's making a race of it at the moment.
Yeah, Rhodey's he's not the fastest driver out there. He's certainly not the slowest, but he's putting a fight to Turmo, who's notoriously fast in just about anything.
Yeah, so sticking with him. Now, I did say good luck to Turmo before the race, and I hope you get T-boned. So, Rhodey, if you are listening, you just send it, mate. Just let's have a crack. Ooh. And it's a bit of a twitch there for Turmo under braking. Again, more encouragement for Rhodey in the 888 satellite engineering car, the Xbox One car, which is has to be said. It is a favourite among everybody I ask. Whenever they see that car, it's like, ooh, I like the look of that one. Unfortunately, the video game, though, it doesn't really, or the Automobilista and even in other video games, it doesn't quite do it justice how good it looked on TV, or what I'd imagine how it looked in real life as well.
Yeah, it's just one of those cars. It looked perfect at Bathurst. It was definitely the best out there. It could have easily won the season livery award.
Yep, there's a Rhodey on that last lap. Personal best, 22.2. And Turmo, again, 22.2 for him as well. So Rhodey is right there pace-wise and making a game of it.
22.2 isn't a bad lap for race pace. I think we'd be doing early 20s, late 19s, so that's a pretty good pace for me.
So he's finding pace as the race is going on. In fact, that kind of pace would put him, well, he's the 4th fastest man on circuit on the last lap, so very, very good pace.
Yeah, looks like everybody's just in their own groove. Now nobody's really fighting with anybody other than Turmo and Rhodey.
Yeah, just mainly Rhodey and Turmo. Unfortunately, a bit of field spread. Very, very deep under brakes and almost spearing into the back of Turmo there.
Glenn Miles is around.
Good for him. We're just going to stick with this battle pack. In fact, we're right on board for a lap. with Rhodey and see how he takes this Adelaide circuit as he comes up to a yellow flag, which I'm assuming is that Glenn Miles incident. Looks like Turmo's backed off. Well, Rhodey's kept his foot in. He's right there. He's going to have a decent toe. But he always lost the back end. Now, what you got to do at that curve there, I can't remember, was it turn 7? Yeah, turn 7. And even with turn 6 as well, on the exit, you can't straddle it. You've just got to go straight over it. If you straddle it and try to, or be half on, half off, like Rhodey was there, and you try and accelerate, that's where you unsettle the car. And unfortunately for Rhodey, he's lost all that time. But, and he's upshifted and not in a... Well, his wheel was probably still turning to the right a little bit, and his rear left will be a little bit overheated due to that half spin. And in the barrier again, so another slight mistake for Rhodey. Starting to fall apart here, but hopefully he can put it all together. But as he misses the apex of the final corner, that is a lap of Adelaide.
Not the best, but a lap.
Yeah, but a lap by Rhodey.
Yeah, it just looks like he lost a little bit of his rhythm there. Matching the times of some of the best out there, but yeah, just fell away there.
Yeah, so sometimes actually it can be easier to follow another driver and find a bit of extra time. I know when I've done a number of series and I've been behind a faster driver, you stay with them for a little while. You can find a bit of time there. You're able to pick the lines, pick their lines and braking points, and you end up finding a bit of time. And I think that's what happened with Rhodey there. So, but hopefully he can obviously keep up what he was doing, and even if he just maintains that gap to Turmo in front, or even pick some of it back, it'll be still a fair achievement.
Well, we're on the last lap.
That's 17 of 18. Oh, that was for, Rhodey. We are on the last lap. Lion Mitch coming out of the hairpin.
Hasn't put a foot wrong.
No, he's not put a foot wrong. He was under pressure for a while from Steve Burko, his teammate behind, but it didn't faze him one bit as he comes up through the final corner. And he will take the first win of Super 2 in 2020. Lion Mitch, the inaugural winner.
Done well.
The Super 2 race or series. Steve Burko will make it an HRT 1-2. Some good speed, just needs to keep that consistency, and he'll steal a win, I reckon. Wayne, fantastic effort starting from the back after his DQ in qualifying to finish on the podium. Some fantastic manoeuvres and some good consistent driving. Gives him a very good third place. Mike Goulston will finish in fourth place. He was in third for a lot of the race, but as the race went on, just started to fall away and made some errors which allowed Wayne to not only catch up but to eventually get by. But still, fourth place, very solid effort from him. The Netherelmian, a bit of a quiet race from him. Obviously struggling under brakes quite a bit, but still, great effort, P5. Bolger will finish P6 in the Styx car. The sister Techno Autosport car will finish in P7. Rhodey in the 888 Satellite Engineering or Xbox One car will finish in 8th. Brian Walsh, in 9th. And Glenn Miles will finish in 10th place. So, Rossi, what do you think of that one?
Different. It's the first race that I've watched not competing in a while. It was different to be here, but just seeing how different drivers race, it was definitely led early by Lion Mitch and Steve Burko with the pace, and I think they're the people we're going to be looking out for in this series. They've definitely just got that little bit extra over everybody else.
Yeah, well, Steve Burko, I do believe he did win the AM or the Pro-Am class in the Super 2 or Supercars Championship here last season, so he does have a little bit of form. And Lion Mitch, we have seen him drive various cars and be successful, but I think time reasons why he doesn't or hasn't been able to be a regular, but hopefully he's here to set a good benchmark for the rest of the drivers because, as we've seen in all the cars he's driven, he's quite handy.
He's definitely one of those people that just rock up and almost like pace 90% of the time. He's just got that knack for it.
Yep, he certainly does. And then obviously Coulston, we've seen it again in a number of series. He's got speed. It's just the consistency that he's got to work on. And hopefully with this series, when he gets time, when he's not working 16-hour days, hopefully he can sort of work on that consistency and it can translate into some good results, not only in this series, but into GD3 and Supercars when he can make it.
Yeah, he's hopefully he finds the time and just work on a little bit more racing because he definitely showed in that race that he's got the pace to sort of be consistent. It's just he just lacks that little 1% that he needs to go.
Certainly. Well, we'll take a bit of a break. Obviously, got to set the grid for race 2, but just a reminder for race 2, it will be reverse grid, and because reverse grid for those that finished. Everybody finished, so it's a proper reverse grid. So we'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes time. Hope to see you there. Alright, and welcome back to round one of the Automobilista Australia Super 2 series. They've had race one, with Lion Mitch being our race winner. Steve Burko, his teammate, giving a good run for about 3/4 of that race, but a couple of mistakes dropping him a little bit further down. Well, not so much the running order, but certainly away from him on the track. We're still 1-2 for the HRT team. And then Wayne Spencer coming from the back of the grid after being DQ'd in qualifying, rounding out the podium. Another thing of note with this series is that it is reverse grid. But you have to finish to be eligible. Everybody finished, so it is a proper reverse grid. So that means the two HRTs will have to navigate the field and start from the back. Which, around this street circuit here at Adelaide, Rossi, I reckon it's going to be a little bit more tougher for them this time around.
Definitely is. I know from some of the reverse grids we've raced in TCR and I think TDC here, that's a different ballpark. It's fun, but you've got to be very careful of just the different varying paces between drivers, because it's not a lot tonight, but in supercars, it's 2-3 seconds makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, I think the big thing for them to watch out for, I think, the braking zones. It's going to be very, very easy for them to get caught out by someone who's not as confident or strong on the brakes, who may brake, say, 10, 15, 20, maybe even 30 metres earlier than what they do. And they might either spear into the back of them, or they'll have to go down an escape road just to avoid an accident. So, for them, they've just got to be wary of that. Obviously, it's very easy as well to get caught up in other people's accidents around any circuit, but at a circuit like this one here at Adelaide, I think that's another one for them that they're going to have to look out for.
Just thinking, most of them have raced with each other. It's only Wayne here that hasn't raced with anybody here, so I'd hope most of them sort of have an idea of who's got the pace and who doesn't. So Wayne will be probably the one to watch out on some of these slower drivers.
Yeah, but Wayne he came through the back of the field last time around, so he did it very, very clean whenever we saw. I don't think we saw him really put a foot wrong when racing with another car, and gave space and room and all that stuff. So I reckon he's going to be one who could could give himself a really good opportunity of perhaps coming through the field and maybe even sneaking a win if all things go his way.
Well, if you can keep ahead of Steve Burko, and probably more so like Mitch, he's definitely a shoo-in for it.
Certainly, but those two HRT cars, for them, they've just got to take not so much take their time, but they've got to get through the field cleanly. But yeah, if they can do that, they'll put themselves in a very, very good position with the pace advantage they have. But if Wayne can get through the field, do it a little bit quicker than those HRT guys, and then be consistent throughout his tenure in the lead, he'll give himself every opportunity, with obviously the HRT guys having to work their way through the field, and if they get stuck behind a car or two, that might give Wayne obviously that time that he needs to hold on at the end of the race. Something we saw a number of times in TCR last season.
Yeah, and the standout's pretty much Foley, so if some of the backmarkers here can go to the school of Foley of passing everybody on the first lap in the reverse grid race, they'd be doing good.
Yeah, he certainly is the benchmark. Someone that, I think as you said, you have plenty of experience with in TCR. He starts at the back and always seems to find a way to get to the front, which for you, in a championship sense, quite frustrating, I could imagine.
Quite frustrating, especially when, blowing my own trumpet here, but it was one of the closest people outside of probably Dwayne, Matt Williams, and a couple of the other fellas on his pace, and just for him to come through the field like it was nothing, impressive, but annoying.
Yeah, especially after you say put it on the front row and he stuffs his qualifying session, then after 5 laps he's behind you on the track. So
yeah.
But anyway, our formation lap for race 2, which is 18 laps long, is underway. Glenn Miles will start from, quote-unquote, pole position. But on the road at the moment, he's behind his teammate Ryan Walsh. Normally his teammate, but not in this one. Ryan Walsh in the Super Monster Racing Icebreak Ford Falcon. Gee, that's a handful. Brian Walsh, yeah, he'll start with him on the front row. Rhodey will start third in the Xbox One liveried car. Then Turmo starting from fourth. He'll be hoping for a much cleaner run this time out. Teammate in the Techno Autosport car, Steve Bolger, will start in fifth place. Netherelmian will start sixth. And he'll be hoping to sort of emulate TCR, where he started slowly but come on strong as the season went on. Mike Coulston, he'll be hoping for a little bit more consistency. He'll be starting in 7th place. And Wayne, he'll be hoping to carve his way through the field like he did in the first race. He'll start from 8th. And then Steve Burko, the first of the HRT cars in the number 2 Tanda car. And then Alain Mitch, our inaugural Super 2 winner, will start at the back in 10th place.
Got worried then when he was starting to swerve. It looks like he was heading straight for the split. All good.
Yep. And lights are on. Lights are off. And it looked like Glenn Miles was going to T-bone Turmo there as we go through the first chicane. Doesn't look like there's any incidents, but Glenn Miles has fallen well down the field. Walsh holding onto the lead. Turmo having a look and sends it up the inside as Walsh into the wall there, but managed to hold it, but then outbrake himself, and well, that's going to put him to the back of the field. So disaster for Walsh. And Glenn Miles has given Turmo a bit of a serve there, sent him wide. And Wayne Spencer's had a fantastic start. He's up to 4th place, but he's made a slight mistake. He's going to run wide, but he's going to try and go around the outside of Turmo at the exit of turn 7. And now he's going to try and get a run and get by Glenn Miles in front. But he's got to watch out that Miles doesn't break too early. He doesn't. They're all through. There's Coulston off in the background with Wayne up the inside of Miles and up into P2. Outbreaks himself a little bit. Miles turned in on him and sort of gave him a little bit of a whack, but Wayne already, he's done a Foley, started from towards the back of the field and finds himself into second by the end of the first lap, while the HRT cars find themselves in 6th place and in 8th.
So we found our first Brenton Foley of the series, and we found his teammates that are still at the back.
Yeah, so I think we might have to have some awards handed out each round. You'll see the Brenton Foley Award for those that get the most places starting from the back of the field or towards the back of the field in the reverse grid race. And they've caught up to Rhodey. Wayne sets the move up the inside. They've outbroke himself a little bit. Rhodey outbroke himself a little bit, but Wayne now in the lead. And got to say, there's really nothing. The top 9, 3.5 seconds separating them.
Oh, and Coulston's gone around and hit the wall.
He certainly has, and then he's banged the wall again. He's tried to flick turn it, instead he's just accelerated into the tyre bundle. And for whatever reason, Brian Walsh into the pits, so I don't know why, but
I think he hit the wall at turn 4 or 5.
That's back live though, and a very, very angry pack. Now that defensive with Burko right behind him. Turmo's outbroke himself, or perhaps got a serve. He didn't see, he only caught the end of it. And he's going to drop a number of spots as Miles out on the grass on the outside there at turn 12. And there's another car in the wall as well. I did hear a bang. I don't know who it was. It's all happening here. And Nether now up into P5. He gets past Steve Burko. Ooh, a little bit of contact there, it looks like, between Miles and Nether Elliott. Miles coming off second best at the exit of the hairpin, and Burko will take that place. As Miles almost near the back of him, outbreaks himself at the first chicane, goes four-wheel driving, and Turmo takes that place. So Miles now down to 7th, and Burko now in P5 all over the back of Nether Elmian in the Chaz Mostert livery.
Brady's just had a massive accident.
And it looks like Coulston's also had one. Oh, it looked like he had one anyway. But what has already done? Let's take a look. So through the first chicane. Oh, he's lost it on the curve. That is a big crash. That would be a write-off. The front end on that thing in real life would be gone. He'd probably have a broken ankle. He'd at least be concussed. But 25% damage. It looks like his car's brand new.
something you don't expect. But I guess I think this is aimed at the rookie series, so pretty much 25% just keeps you going, which is.
Yeah, so it's like it's caught the end of Burko running wide at the hairpin. Looks like he tried to make a late move on Nether at the hairpin. He certainly tried, lost it. He would have got the position, I reckon, but he lost the rears under braking, and Nether got that position back. So frustration for Burko. His teammate up into P2, and well, he's gaining on Wayne. 21.7 for Wayne on that last lap. A 20.7 for Lime Mitch on that last lap. Now, a thing to remember is that race 1, the track would have been rubbered up due to all the practice and qualifying. But when the server was reset, all that rubber disappears, and well, they've not got too much rubber on the circuit at the moment. So that will build up as the race goes on. So that's something to look out for. So early on, the pace isn't quite going to be as hot, but as their tyres sort of wear out a little bit, they're going to have more rubber on the circuit. So it's sort of going to even out a little bit as the race goes on.
Yeah, it's something a lot of drivers have started working on in TCR now, and hopefully a little bit of experience here helps all those drivers to put practice here.
Alright, the battle between Burko and Nether continues. Burko up the inside, doesn't quite lose the rear end this time. A little bit of contact as Nether turns in to try and make the hairpin, but Burko takes the place up into P4. Good set. Oh, he's very, very wide there. Turn 12. Thought he was going to end up just clipping that tyre bundle on the exit there, which in Automobilista are completely solid. In fact, those can sometimes do a little bit more damage than what the normal tyre barriers do, depending on the circuit you're at.
That has the same physics as the exit of turn 4.
Yeah. In fact, the one at turn 4, now I've had plenty of accidents there myself. What I've found out is that your car can actually physically not hit it, but because of the hitbox, for whatever reason, it counts as a hit, and you have a big accident. As I thought Nether was going to do the same thing, but because if you hit that side on like he did, you can get away with it. But if, let's say, your rear panel hits it and you're angled a little bit to the right, you are going to end up having a big accident like Burko did. Burko's had a good run through turn 6 and 7. Now he's all over the back of his fellow Steve in Steve Bolger.
All the two Steves.
And Nether's hung around as well.
Got a better run than Steve Burko.
And got Turmo closing in as well. Yeah, good run through the kink there, turn 8, but a big slide for Bolger.
Ooh, Wayne's right on Lime Mitch now.
No, that's a change for the lead. That is a change for the lead.
Is.
So, just cutting back to a replay, got the move done at the hairpin by the looks of it. Wayne giving a lot of space, in fact too much space, because he went over the curb there at the hairpin. Well, the exit of the hairpin, well, that would have definitely been a track cut from Lime Mitch as we cut live at the first chicane, but he is pushing hard out there. Wayne's not giving up, but he's going to have to find something, I think, if one's very, very wide exit of turn 4 there. But yeah, he's going to have to find another gear if he wants to sort of stick with Mitch and steal a win here now.
Yeah, it looks like
well, Nether's actually got himself into third place.
Oh.
He's got himself into third. So what's happened here?
Done that.
So Bolger and Burko were battling it out into turn 4 here. Burko around the outside, outbroke himself, went on the grass. Bolger outbroke himself a little bit and ran wide and slowed down. And Nether said, I'll take that. And Turmo in the background, he's in the barrier and going slowly. What has happened there? Exit of turn 8. So it's all happening. Paul Rossi isn't able to get a word in. And so Turmo into the barrier on the exit of turn 8 there. In real life, the left-hand side of that car wrecked, right-hand side of that car wrecked. Turmo got a bit of a headache, slightly concussed, and the Techno team would be not too happy and very, very busy over the next couple of days.
Can't imagine. Glenn's off. He's at the last corner. So he just went too deep.
Well, it looks like he's battling Mike Coulston. Coulston having an absolute shocking race 2 here. So that inconsistency coming into play once again. But what has Glenn Miles done? He's lost it at the previous corner. He's just not put enough steering lock in, because you can take that corner flat. You will end up on the grass, but he missed the apex. So he's just not turned in enough and tried to take it flat, and off into the boonies he goes. The battle of the Stoives continues. Burko is going to make a move. The yellow flags are out there at the hairpin, so that can be protested after the race. That was Brian Walsh that was off there at the hairpin. But Nether doing a good job. He's edged away from those guys. And we've got a yellow flag. That's Wayne. Wayne's gone around at the final corner. You will hold on for now. What has he done here? So he'd closed right up, or he'd stayed with, I should say, Lime Mitch. Again, he's just missed.
That'll be a track.
No. He's just gassed it up, carried a little bit too much speed through the final corner, gassed it up, and his rear tyres weren't, well, they were still sliding, and around he went. So unfortunate for him, that's dropped him 8 seconds away from Lime Mitch, and into the clutches of Netherelmian and Burko, also there as well, pushing very, very hard. That's very reminiscent of Craig Lance a few years ago, pushing really hard, smashing all over the curbs at turn 6.
Lansy can do no wrong.
The People's Champ. A slight mistake from Nether at turn 8 there. It's allowed Burko once again to make a move. He's outbroke himself for sure.
That is deep.
And that right front is going to be a 50-cent piece for sure. So hopefully his force feedback isn't too high, because if it is, it'd be rattling
like no tomorrow.
Yeah, rattling like no tomorrow. Still, hasn't really lost too much time as Nether. Again, he locks up.
No.
We did see Nether struggling in race 1 with the brake locking. He's been a little bit better so far in race 2, but that's not going to help his cause.
I think from just talking to Nether, I don't think the supercar suits him, or it might be Adelaide that doesn't suit him, but he's normally a very fast driver, but just tonight hasn't gone his way.
Hasn't gone his way in terms of pace, but he still finds himself in... Oh, was Burko, I thought he was going to go around there. There's a big slide for Bulge as well in the background. And Nether hasn't had a good run at turn 6. And up the inside goes Burko. Now, I was going to say something there, but I've completely forgotten it now. Thanks, Steve.
Bloody Stoive.
Was Nether playing with fire, clipping the curb at turn 8. That's not something you want to do. But Burko's outbroke himself at the hairpin, and it's going to allow Nether to have a look, but not quite close enough. And Burko able to pull it up just in the nick of time. But he's hit the barrier, and somehow Nether's avoided him. So once again, there's little tyre bundles claiming a victim, and Burko finally got himself back onto the podium. And he's undone all his hard work, and he's going to have to do that all over again.
And I think, sadly for him, that's no time for him to do that.
No. He's going to need to find quite a bit of time. Just looking at the fastest laps of the race, 21.9 for him is his personal best for this race. Nether at 22.1. But we do know that Burko has got a 1 minute 20 in him. So he can close that gap down, but he's going to need to find a good 2 seconds, 1.8 seconds per lap to get that done.
I must say, Nether done well to avoid that accident there. That's Nether's experience there that come through there to avoid that one.
Yeah, in that situation, you see it in real life and in sim that there's an accident developing in front of people, and they just seem to ignore it, keep their foot in it, or I don't know, they're just too aggressive and they just end up being a part of the accident. There is a skill in well, in real life and in sim, in my opinion, in avoiding accidents. Some drivers always seem to find themselves a part of accidents that someone else had already had on their own, while others seem to always just go around them and avoid them.
Yeah, it's just sort of learning that racecraft, and just sort of over time you develop it, and yeah, you do pick up those traits. But just like you said, some drivers just have the knack of it, and some drivers just keep on their merry way.
And I think it's a skill that separates champions from race winners. Obviously, there is a number of factors, or not so much. It separates race winners from champions. If you can avoid those accidents, let's say in a reverse grid race, or you find yourself down the field after a safety car, etc. If you can avoid those incidents, it will bring you a good result or good results, and it can lead you to winning championships. Okay, some guys might not have the pace to win a championship, but it'll bring them higher up in the championship standings by constantly avoiding these incidents. And it's certainly something that anybody can learn. It's just about experience, and it's also about reading the cars in front of you, which, if you see a car sort of having, looking a little bit funny and look like it might hit the wall in front of you, a lot of the time it is, unless it's Brenton Foley driving a supercar, because that's just what he does.
Brenton Foley. That's pretty much neither to a dotted I. Like, that was pretty much how he got third in TCR last season. Didn't get any race wins, but just staying consistent and just nicking the podiums when he could get them. He stayed pretty much consistent all that season.
And looking down the field, Rody in 9th place hasn't had a good run, and it's going to get a little bit worse for him because he's got a drive-through. So I think he's picked up a couple track cuts, and he's going to be running through the pit lane. He's got blue flags. He's got Wayne behind him. Wayne getting a very solid start to his first event here at Automobilista Australia. So third in race 1, and currently second in race 2 here.
He hasn't hung on to line Mitch like I think we thought he would, but that might be something that just comes over the next few rounds as he gets a little bit more practice. But definitely got the pace to get a few race wins down the track, but it just looks like Lime Mitch is, like we said, he's just another club of everyone tonight.
Yeah, I think Lime Mitch will be the benchmark this season. As I said it earlier on in the broadcast, he is a pro-level driver in our championships, but he just hasn't had enough time, really. I think he's over in Western Australia or something like that, and just isn't or has something on the other night, so he isn't able to make it. So open this one up to him, and as we've seen him in other seasons, he's been very, very quick. And tonight, these cars, he's just a step above. I reckon he'll be sort of like the Paul Dumbrell of, real life Super 2 for a few years, where he was that benchmark for the young drivers coming through, and I reckon it's good to have. It might give, obviously, Burko, we've seen, has got the pace, but he's made, obviously some errors in this one. Wayne, he's shown some decent pace. Made a mistake in this one, but just needs that little bit. He needs to find that next level, and I think having Lime Mitch around will certainly help him find that next level.
Don't know if Steve Bolger's done any supercars races. He's in every series that I've raced against him, he's always been far. So he'll be definitely somebody to look out for. But yeah, he's normally a very fast driver.
Well, I don't remember. Oh, he's got Rody around there, exit of turn 12, and that's the Bolger and the Battle of the Steves going on once again. I don't recall Bolger ever being in a supercar, and if he has been, it's only been once or twice. I don't think he's certainly not a regular. He wasn't a regular in Super 2 last season. I don't think he raced too many in the supercar season preceding it as well. So, and what we saw in GT3 as well is that he started off, he was fairly modestly paced, but certainly last season and even the season before, is that his pace has ramped up season on season. So we could see him towards the end of the season being one of those guys that is battling, for a top step of the podium.
Yeah, I definitely would be very surprised if he doesn't get a top step of the podium throughout the season, and especially even the next 3 or 4 rounds. He's got the pace to do it. He's just matter of when, I think.
He's made a slight mistake coming out of turn 7. It's going to be a drag to turn 8. He will hold on though. There is a rule in place where whoever's ahead at the 150 board into turn 8 has the corner, and the car behind must concede position. But these two battling very, very hard. Big lock up for Bolger. Burko outbroke himself as well. As you see, Lion Mitch now fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 20.6 dead. And Bolger outbraking himself, and Burko side by side, but has to lift. Now, will he get him on the switch back into the final corner? No, Bolger very, very aware there, but he outbrakes himself a little bit. Burko tries to get him on the switch back, but Bolger just in the way, and it's going to be dragged to the line. Burko has it for now, but side by side to the first chicane, and Bolger smartly lifted out of it, because if he didn't, that would have been an almighty junt.
That would have been a Jason Bright rollover.
Well, it probably would have been bigger, because this time they had a rolling sort of start to it. It wasn't just a standing start and run to turn 1, so it would have been big.
Big.
But in front of them, those guys battling as hard as they were, that's allowed Nether to get 3.1 seconds down the road. Now, Burko still is a chance. There's 3 laps to go, 3.1 seconds, and I do believe his fastest lap is more than a second faster than Netherrealmians in this race.
Yeah, well, he's
Or
done
9/10 of a second. It's 9/10 of a second in fastest lap, so it is doable. So Ben Miles gets out of the way of Burko.
Yeah, it looks like
2.4.
Yeah.
So it is on. The battle for the final spot on the podium is on. Now, if Burko...
Actually, losing time.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
He did in that last sector. Oh, massive understeer on the exit of the final corner. I think he's just driving it a little bit too hard at the moment.
Yeah, 1.4 now.
Yeah, and he's got no one in front of him this time. Miles was earlier on in that lap. Bolger using all the curb and more in the background there, so he's pushing hard. These guys will duke it out for the final spot on the podium. Closest battle on track, and Bolger, he could end up with 3rd here if these guys make contact.
Yeah, an outside chance, but he's just got to hang in there and just play his cards right. But yeah, definitely. We called the Burko card wrong. I said he wouldn't catch up to him, but he's proved me wrong and pulled up in the second half a lap.
Yeah, I don't think Nether's handling these old tyres well as Burko running very wide at the exit of turn 8. Now, I did have a look at chat and got Peter Savage saying he was doing 1 minute 19s in practice. Now, this track isn't as rubbered up as what it would be at the end of a practice and qualifying session or in race 1. So that's why they're not doing these super quick lap times. You see Nether once again lock up. So his front tyres probably no longer 50-cent pieces, but he's probably driving on cubes at this stage.
I wonder if he's going to throw it up the inside here.
No, not quite close enough. Oh, I thought they were going to make contact, but no contact. Well, again, thought there might have been contact again on the exit, but Burko just being hindered. Shows his nose at the first chicane, but he's not going to make a move there. He's going to try and get a little bit of a switchback going through the first chicane and turn 3. He's close enough to show his nose, but decides against it. Outbrakes himself a little bit, almost sails into the back of the super cheap auto car. Oh, and a bit of a mistake now. I think he's starting to overdrive it just a little bit here. I think that's Burko. That's Burko's thing to work on, I think, for supercars and for obviously Super 2, is when he gets to other cars, and just in general, I think he's just overdriving a little bit. Needs to take a step back, drive within himself. There's now the big slide at turn 8 there. Burko's able to close the gap. Isn't close enough to capitalise, but certainly close enough to contact. So close enough to make Nether sweat, as we saw there. I reckon Nether's big problem, he's putting in too much, he's carrying too much speed into the corners, and he's also putting on too much steering lock.
Yeah, he's just gassing it up and just getting too much wheel spin here, where Burko's sort of holding a little bit better.
Yeah, Burko trying to get him on the switchback, but the final corner is a little bit too long to try and switch back like that.
this is the last lap and this is the last step on the podium, so they're going to go hell for broke here.
Yeah, it is for sheep stations, that's for sure. Round 1 of a season, but it is for sheep stations.
I wonder if Burke will go really deep at the hairpin again.
Well, will he be patient, or will he get the move done here at turn 7? There is yellow flags out, so no, he's not quite close enough. And that is Brian Mulch in the ice brake car. But Nether's had a good exit out of turn 7 there. So Burko, I reckon his last chance. Oh, as Burko hits the wall on the inside, bang! That's a big hit. Once again, lucky it's 25% damage. But we'll cut to our race leader, Lime Mitch, 2 from 2.
Done well.
Foley S drive in this one. And Wayne.
24 seconds.
Yeah, massive gap. But, the battle is still on between Nether and Burko. It's going to come down to the final corner. They've got Wayne 4 seconds just up the road. Nether sees Burko coming. Knew he was going to go defensive. He's outbroke himself. Burko is going to send it up the inside. If he's got the drift on, it's going to be a drag to the line, but Nether will hold on just. Wayne does take second. Nether takes third. Holds on to the final spot on the podium. Fantastic battling throughout that one. Burko takes 4th. Bolger 5th. Mike Coulston, bit of a lonely 6th place. And Turmo will finish in 7th because Glenn Miles is a lap down in 8th. Rhodey will finish in 9th. And Brian Walsh has finished a couple laps down with a drive-through and in 10th place. But cut to Lime Mitch here because he's doing some nice skids here on the back straight here.
He's lighting up and he's deserving his race. A very clean race all night. Won both races and just didn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah, didn't put a foot wrong. Was under pressure a couple times in race 1. Obviously, Wayne got himself into the lead after having a fantastic opening couple laps. But Mitch was able to keep calm, get a move done, and then never look back. Didn't make a mistake. And taking a comfortable... Well, both these races have been very, very comfortable in the end. And Wayne, again, very impressive on debut. But I think he just got a little bit of a taste of... as we see Wayne ending up into the stands there. Now, I did forget to mention in the driver's briefing, so it's on me, that drivers are not meant to be driving into each other. But we'll just have a look at that and bang. Yeah, that is... Wayne has entered hyperspeed. But Wayne getting his first taste of AMSOZ racing, and I think his benchmark finishing in front of him in race 2 there.
Yeah, well, 25 seconds ahead of Wayne Lime Mitch was, so that's a statement to all out there to catch up, because he's going to run away with the championship if nobody matches his level. And
I think it was just the consistency, because there was a bit of a pace difference, but it wasn't 25 seconds difference, especially after half the battle for the lead, obviously, or the places for first and second between Wayne and Mitch only swapped about halfway through the race. So I think big thing, obviously, consistency, but at the same time, got to find just a little bit of extra pace as well. Yeah, and in practice, everybody was within 3 seconds. Yeah, just race pace to help everybody. All right, well, Rossi, I'll let you pick out a couple of drivers in race chat to have a little bit of a talk to. Obviously, after these 2 races here, so you will be able to drag them up. Obviously, we've got one driver in here at the moment, so we might as well go to him while you go and pick out the other 2 to join us here in the broadcast booth. Easy. All right, well, Nether, you're in here. Fantastic battle at the end of the second race there.
Yeah, he made me sweat, Steve Burko. I hate to say it, I mean, and that's just not because down here it is absolutely muggy as hell in Victoria at the moment, but literally he made me sweat for that one. He had a couple of goes at me earlier on and just overcooked it a little bit down into the hairpin, down at turn 9, and I was always able to cut back underneath him, and I had some pretty good reactions, I think, to avoid him when he hit the wall down at turn 11, and the same when Rhodey hit there as well. And I thought I was just cruising along for a little bit until I saw him coming up behind me, and I thought, shit, I'm going to have to actually get my elbows out here. And we had a good ripper battle for the last 2.5 laps or so.
Well, he certainly made it hard for himself because he did make one mistake and ended up 14 seconds behind you, I believe, at one stage. But he was obviously able to claw that back. But it looked like you sort of obviously lifted off the throttle, I guess, a little bit towards the end because the gap was fairly large at some point, and then, as you said, just appeared in your mirrors pretty much with a couple laps to go. Were you taking it easy, or were you pushing but just kept making little mistakes that we didn't see?
Look, every now and again there was the odd mistake, miss an apex here or there. I think the worst mistake I made all night was I put 2 wheels on the grass on the run to the final corner and ran wide. So, aside from that, I didn't really step out of the track too much. Steve definitely had a lot of pace on me. I think my best was a 22.1, and he was, well into the mid to high 20s. So the pace differential was huge. These cars are not my strong suit. This is, for me, is really just it's actually just short notice. This is really just some extra seat time for me. That's one thing I struggled with last year, was just not having enough seat time to, get time under my belt. So I was being confident with any of the cars I was driving. So this is really just a little bit of fun just to, get some time behind the wheel. But no, I'll take third when you capitalise on mistakes when mistakes are made by others. And, it's resulted in a third place and a fifth in race one. So I'm pretty pleased with that.
Well, yeah, that race one, speaking of, as you said, you weren't the quickest out there, but you certainly didn't make mistakes like a number of the other drivers that, in the end, finished behind you there in that race one there.
Yeah, Termo was one of those guys that I thought was probably he started ahead of me on the grid, and I thought he's usually pretty quick in these cars. And yeah, he ended up being one of the ones that was behind me, which was a bit of a surprise. But as I said to him over the race chat, you've got the main game starting next week. Blow the cobwebs out, get all the rubbish and things out of the way now, and then focus on the good stuff for next week. So, some guys are in this series that are going into the main game, so they're using it as a bit of extra practice. Some of the guys are here just for a good time, and some of them are here to try and make a way to move up the ladder a bit and definitely join the main game. So you get a bit of everything here in Super 2 this year, but it's shaping up to be a good year, not just Super 2, but also for a lot of the other series we're running in AMSOZ this year as well. And of course, the big month, the main game Supercars with over 20 cars. I think we're up to about 24 now, I think. So we're pretty close to a full grid starting next week. So that should be good.
Yeah, certainly very, very exciting times. I know I'm quite excited to, see how my teams go. And just excited, obviously, that starting Supercars, GT3 coming up, and also TCR. And obviously Brock's series, I can't remember it off the top of my head, and then we've got TDC all coming up as well. But Nether, thanks for joining us. Well done on third place in race 2 and fifth place in race 1.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, well, Rossi, you've dragged everybody from the other chat to have a chat, so mate, lead us away. And that just about does it here at Automobilista.
I think he's having some technical gremlins here at the minute.
All right, just bear with us for a minute, unless he's just throwing me under the bus and having a bit of a joke. So I'll just wait and see if he can sort it out. But he's brought everybody from Racetrack here into the broadcast booth. So he obviously wants to have a chat. Rossi, have you sorted out your bike issue? No. Alright, well, I'll try and get the ball rolling. We might as well cut to, his name's Chaos Theory on Discord, and, he certainly threw up a lot of chaos in race 2. Steve Burko, Chaos Theory, good pace and qualifying effort for race 1, but race 2 there, all over the shop, but he certainly gave us a great show on the broadcast. Talk us through it.
This is going swimmingly, Lewis.
Yes. Try now, Steve. See if you can talk. No, muted. Damn it. Well, I think it's set to only...
Hello, are we there? Oh,
yes,
there we
go.
Okay, thanks for having me. First race was pretty tough. I was trying to keep up with Mitch for most of it. and yeah, just made a few errors, started to get a little ahead of myself, and yeah, lost out, hit the wall, and yeah, after that I just decided, all right, well, it's time to just get back to basics, pretty much.
Yeah, and obviously that second race, didn't quite go to plan. Obviously you saw Lion Mitch and Wayne sort of get through the field a little bit easier than what you did, it has to be said. And you got stuck battling with your fellow Steve and obviously Nether towards the end of that race. And then you got ahead of him, you got yourself into a podium position, and then a corner later you threw it all away and you had to hit the reset button and find 14 seconds to battle for the podium again.
Yeah, pretty much. I saw Mitch and Wayne get away from me, and I was like, oh no, I've got to do something here, and just started again overthinking things, braking a little bit later and locking up the rears. But as soon as I calmed down, I ended up gaining quite a massive margin on Steve Bolger, and I was surprised that I was actually with him through turn 7 and yeah, through to 8.
Yeah, it looked like throughout that second race in particular, you had a little bit of trouble at the hairpin. Were you sort of a little bit thrown off guard by obviously the cars that you're battling, maybe perhaps braking a little bit earlier than you thought, and you had to just send it up the inside, or were you just out braking yourself just in general on your own?
I think generally I was just out braking myself because I haven't been behind the wheel for a while. So getting used to these cars again and getting back into the groove, yeah, I kind of missed a couple of markers and yeah, just did it myself pretty much.
Well, despite that, still a fairly decent outing for you. Obviously, your second place and a fourth place. Couldn't quite get Nether at the end there. Just talk us through, obviously, the final two corners of race 2 there, because it looked like you had it, and then you had a big tank slapper on the exit.
Yeah, well, as I came off one of those corners, I noticed that um, Nether ended up going a little bit wider than usual, closer to the wall. So I was like, hang on, I can drop this down a gear. And as we got towards the hairpin, I noticed that he started covering the inside. So I figured if I can get a wider line, I can get the inside out on the exit. And as I did that, I think I might have brushed the curb a little bit, which upset the rear a little bit. And yeah, he just managed to pit me over the line.
Well, unfortunate for you, but for the broadcast again, fantastic finish. And, well, a decent start, at least to a championship fight, though, with a second and a fourth place there.
Yeah, I'm quite proud of it, and quite happy that I'm able to race in this division, and I'm hoping to further improve so I can continue that into the main.
Well, hopefully you have a good outing in the main game next week, as you are in one of the LSS cars. So, personally, I hope you kill it. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, Rossi, hopefully you've sorted out your issues and you can go interview one of the many people you've brought up here now.
I'm back. Bloody Logitech. Well, I brought everybody here because how can you not pick everybody? But Lime Mitch has left. But I think all we're left with is really Termo.
You got Wayne as well. Wayne's here.
Wayne, you're here. Sorry, Termo. See you, Termo. Wayne, are you with us?
Might have to unmute him, but
Ooh.
There we go.
Hello, Wayne. No, he might be having traumas too.
Rip.
Well, this is a great end to a great series. But Termo, are you there, or are you going to play funny games?
Maybe.
Maybe. I love you, Termo. Termo, we expected more of you, but it sort of didn't go your way tonight.
No. Got a bit of energy wasn't there.
No.
Yeah. If I would have had something most probably to eat before, most probably would have been a bit up there, but no.
Oh, that's all right. Pretty good practice anyway, leading into round one of the supercars. But hopefully you go better in the next couple of rounds, because you're definitely one of the guys we're expecting to claim a few wins.
Yep. And Adelaide's not my strongest tracks.
It's nobody's strongest track, so you're not alone there. But all the best for the upcoming season.
Thank you.
And back to you, Duck.
All right. Well, we have brought Rhodey in here, so we might as well ask him a question. Obviously, Rhodey, you did have a nice little battle with, I think it was Turmo, I believe, in race 1 there, where you stuck with him for quite a while. And it looked like you'd found quite a bit of pace there. What did you find as you were battling with Turmo there to sort of find that next level and put him under pressure there?
The thing that helped with the battle with Turmo in the first race was I hadn't written the car into the wall like I did the second race. It was just having someone to follow, and that's been the biggest thing for me. Racing is I'm very inconsistent and very slow when I've got nothing to follow, when I've got nothing to motivate me right in front of me. So Turmo passed me in that first race was good because I'm like, all right, for as long as I can, I'm sticking to his bumper. And I managed to match him for a bit there. I managed to get down to a 122.0 and nearly broke into the 121s, which I think the lap record was 120.6 in the second race. So that's one of his seconds off the lead, which for me is that's mid-pack pace. I shouldn't be that quick. Just having someone to follow. And that's probably what I'm going to gain most out of in this series. If I've got other people to follow around and just build the pace up, build the lines up in these things before I go into the main game cars, that's really where I'm going to find benefits here.
Well, you did find, obviously, that benefit in race 1. Race 2 didn't go your way. Were you perhaps a little bit overconfident in race 2, or is it just one of those things where you just made a slight mistake and that was that?
Race 2, I got caught up in the fun of a reverse grid race. I think coming out of the hairpin on the second lap, there were 3 wide behind me, and the natural commentator in me and spectator went, "Oh, this looks cool," and looked back right as I should have been paying attention for my braking marker. So that put me off there, and then from there, I flat spotted on the way into there, so it just went down from there, and eventually went, all right, well, we'll get some new tyres on it. Bit too late to stop the drive-through, and I was trying to coach Glenn as since we're 888 satellite engineering teammates, that he should also get a pit lane penalty to be part of the cool kids, but he didn't want to play along. So finished both races, which Supercars, I think Super 2 last year, I DNF'd half the races I started, so 100% finish rate so far. Fingers crossed it stays that way.
Well, it should stay that way. Only 25% damage, but hopefully no disconnects, and hopefully you can find that little inner beast that you've got, that you found there in race 1 there for the remainder of Super 2, and obviously in the Supercar Championship.
Exactly, yeah, that same sort of pace that I found there and that I found at the back end of last season, Sandown in particular. Yeah, I'd love to be able to develop that and bring that out on a more full-time basis.
All right, ready? Well, two races, 2 finishes. Good luck for the upcoming Supercars Championship.
Thank you, Lewis. Also, I've got to say, go Team PBF.
Well, screw Team PBF, and
Hey.
Yes, go have a Bundy, mate. Anyway, from Brendan Ross and myself, we hope you've enjoyed the Automobilista Australia Super 2 Round 1 from the streets of Adelaide. Obviously, coming up next week is Round 1 of the main game from, again, Adelaide Street Circuit. That's one that I think everybody is eagerly anticipating. A lot of build-up, some fantastic-looking cars, and I reckon it's going to be one hell of a season, Rossi.
It should be one hell of a season. I can't wait for Daylight Savings to win so I can compete in all the races, but it's definitely one that I'm looking forward to.
Yep, certainly. Anyway, we shall catch you in 2 weeks' time for Super 2, with obviously round 2 from Albert Park. And we hope to see you there, obviously on Nether's channel. you will catch the, obviously, round 1 action from Adelaide in the Automobilista Australia Supercar Championship. Anyway, have a good one, and take it easy.